The Killing Vote episode 12 begins with a flashback to 10 years ago. Hyun and her sister are at their parents' funeral when a woman turns up. She's the driver who killed Hyun's parents in a car accident. She claims to have been overworked and tired, but Hyun accuses her of drunk driving. One day, Hyun speaks with a police officer and shows him proof of the woman running from the site of the accident. She tells him that the woman checked if her parents were dead before escaping and Hyun could smell alcohol on her. When she leaves, she passes by Moo-chan, who has just got his redeployment notice. Later, Min watches the woman who killed her parents living a happy and carefree life. She tells Hyun she wants to take revenge, but Hyun tells her that living a happy life is the best revenge. At present, Moo-chan is running towards the apartment where Suk-ju is holed up. He gets a call from his boss, who tells him to kill Suk-ju. Moo-chan asks if this order is legitimate or comes from the influence of Min Jae-young. His silence tells Moo-chan everything he needs to know. On a loudspeaker, Moo-chan tells Suk-ju that he is approaching the house and wants to negotiate. Meanwhile, a group of bullies from Min's school see the bounty on Jae-hoon's head and begin to look for him. At the same time, the killing vote continues, but a lot of people abstain from voting now that they know why Suk-ju did what he did. Ultimately, most people abstain from the vote, and it gets cancelled. Inside, Suk-ju tells Chol-min to stick to the plan. Chol-min tells Suk-ju to hand over the killing vote program. Jae-hoon and Min are ecstatic about the vote result, but Jae-hoon insists on going to look for his father anyway. He then gets a call from his grandmother, Yang Hae-jin. She tells him to give himself up since Hyun has promised to protect him and Moo-chan is on his way to save Suk-ju. Ji-hoon agrees to go meet Hyun. As luck would have it, the group of bullies turns up at that very moment. Suk-ju then calls Moo-chan and hints that he's going to end his life anyway. Moo-chan tries to convince him not to, but Suk-ju cuts the call and puts the noose around his neck. Moo-chan arrives just after Suk-ju hangs himself and holds him up, calling for help. Meanwhile, Chol-min gets into a car and drives away. Elsewhere, Hyun and Jo-dan keep searching for Jae-hoon and Min. At Jae-young's house, Yoo-ji and her team forcefully enter after seeing footage of Do-hee getting kidnapped. But they find Do-hee calmly having tea with Jae-young with no hint of kidnapping in sight. Do-hee pretends everything is fine and leaves. Jae-hoon is getting beat up by the group of bullies. One of them begins to hit him with a metal pipe. Hyun and Jo-dan find the place and enter. Hyun draws her gun, but the boy hits Jae-hoon right in the head. As they rush to him, the boys run away. While Jae-hoon is bleeding out, he gives Hyun a flash drive. Sang-jae arrives to help Moo-chan and the latter uses CPR to revive Suk-ju. He sighs with relief when Suk-ju begins to breathe again. But in Hyun's arms, Jae-hoon stops responding. From a security camera, Chol-min sees that Suk-ju survived and hits his steering wheel in anger. Sang-jae gives Moo-chan the shocking news that Jae-hoon is dead. Hyun arrives and hits Suk-ju, saying it's his fault. For a minute, Suk-ju is in denial, but the truth soon sets in, and he sinks to his knees. On the way to the police station, Suk-ju tells Moo-chan he wants to stop by the seashore and say goodbye to Nare. Jo-dan and Min are at the morgue, but the latter hasn't said or done anything for hours. Hyun calls Jo-dan to check on her. Moo-chan lets Suk-ju stop by the sea. Suk-ju admits he just wanted to show people how strict punishment could be comforting to the victims of such crimes. Moo-chan also apologizes for fabricating evidence all those years ago. Suddenly, a car bursts in and Chol-min grabs Hyun, holding her at gunpoint. Chol-min demands that Moo-chan let him and Suk-ju leave, or he will kill Hyun. Moo-chan drops his gun and moves away. Suk-ju reveals that Chol-min wants him dead, not alive. Suk-ju then offers Chol-min a flash drive, so Chol-min can change the world the way he sees fit. Seeing that he's distracted, Hyun pushes Chol-min's hand and he drops the gun. Instead, he runs towards Suk-ju to grab the flash drive and in the chaos, they both fall into the water. Moo-chan jumps in after them. Sometime later, a press conference is held where the police claim the case is closed due to the deaths of the main suspects. Suk-ju is blamed for misleading Jae-hoon and causing his death. Do-hee is there but isn't covering the news. Hyun accuses her of blowing up the case the most. They exchange words and Hyun leaves. While looking through the case files, Moo-chan notices something in the video of Nare's murder. Min Jae-young and her secretary arrive home to find Mu Chan and his team breaking the floor of the room in the basement. Mu Chan says he missed something last time. He breaks the column in the room to find another column hidden inside it. He uses a UV light to reveal bloodstains on it. In flashbacks, we see Jae-young watch from a window as Min-soo and Woo-tak carry Na-rae's body. She goes to the basement and sees the blood all over the column. At present, Mu Chan arrests Jae-young now that there is finally enough evidence. Hyun stands by the seashore and throws the flash drive Jae-hoon gave her into the sea. Mu Chan says that was the passcode to the killing vote and asks her if she's sure. She says she is since that's what killed Jae-hoon. She laments about Seok-ju becoming a murderer who killed his own son in the public eye. Hyun claims Mu Chan knew this would happen. He says he had to compromise with the higher-ups and make Seok-ju look like a criminal in order to arrest Jae-young without a warrant. Hyun tells him that he still doesn't understand what Seok-ju really wanted, so she denies his offer to join his team and decides to go back to HQ instead. 1 year later, Hyun seems to be doing well as the ace of her team. While giving a talk at a university on cybersecurity, somebody asks Hyun a question about Gadol, but she doesn't comment on it. At the university, she spots a photo of Jo-dan winning second place in a coding competition. The first place is empty. We then find out that Yoonji and Jo-dan are dating. They come to a restaurant where Jin-soo is working to ask for his blessing since he is like Yoonji's family. Jin-soo challenges Jo-dan to eat extra spicy food in order to do so. Hyun arrives and eats the food on his behalf. Jin-soo, of course, gives them its hearty approval. Suddenly, they all get a text message, but it only turns out to be a notification of a sale at a department store. Afterwards, Hyun shows Jo-dan the photo of him that she found. She asks about the person who won the first place, and Jo-dan says the person was anonymous. His hacker name was LRAE. Hyun remembers that the very first Gadol video file she found had been named LRAE for Na-rae. She realizes that it was Jae-hoon. Meanwhile, Min has a drink while sitting on a swing. She gets a text message from Ji-hoon, which she had programmed to be sent earlier. He admits she was a bright spot in his life. He apologizes and thanks her for everything. Hyun still keeps track of people who were found at sea, just in case Seok-ju is still alive. Mu Chan meets with Jin-soo at the restaurant he's working at. They discuss how Min Jae-young was let go after her secretary took the fall for her. But Jin-soo still believes in Mu Chan's ability to change things. Jae-young is helping out a volunteer event organized by a politician named Kang Ji-seok. He turns out to have been Seok-ju's public defender at the time of the case, and Jae-young speaks to him, making it out as if she's repenting for what happened. Later, she waits by a bus stop and gets into her car when it rolls up. Inside is a small box with a flash drive. The driver gives her a tab where she sees photos of her secretary, who seemingly killed herself while in prison. The driver then shows her that he's working on the Killing Vote program. They plan to target Kang Ji-seok first. Hyun visits Hae-jin in prison. Hyun wonders if Seok-ju is still alive, and Hae-jin says, no matter what, someone will always be there to step up the way Seok-ju did. Dong-ju is now working as a criminal consultant of sorts. Mu Chan is following him when a person on a bike turns up and gives him an envelope. Inside is a flash drive. He goes to the cybercrime center and meets Hyun. They catch up, and he asks her if she's heard anything about a petition Seok-ju filed for Jae-hoon. She says no. She asks him if he thinks Seok-ju is alive. Mu Chan says he hopes not, as he wants Seok-ju to finally be able to rest. At home, Hyun takes out an envelope and reads the letter inside. It's from Seok-ju, who wrote it before he tried to end his life. In it, he admits to coercing Jae-hoon and asks the courts to be lenient on him. Mu Chan catches up to Dong-ju and reprimands him for helping criminals. Around the same time, Hyun comes across a news report about a fishing boat picking up an unidentified man. She gets the report from an email ID named Watchdog06. Mu Chan picks up a Gadol mask as he walks out to the main street. We then see a hand underwater, grabbing the flash drive that Hyun threw inside at the end of the Killing Vote episode 12. The episode review. The Killing Vote episode 12 closes with a tragic ending that throws a softer punch than would be expected. Jae-hoon's death is incredibly sad, particularly since Seok-ju has now lost his only other child in the process of avenging the first. While I understand the writing choice, it does make all their efforts feel a little futile. The rest of the ending is fairly open. Sifju is missing. Ja-young is continuing her notorious activities, and somebody has taken up Gadel's mantle again. However, the open-ended final is not very compelling. A little more certainty on the part of the story, or even the characters, would have made more impact. Unfortunately, the final still leaves quite a few loose threads that stand out irrespective of the open ending. Like Duvi, for example, whose character didn't have much significance despite the amount of screen time she got. What was the point of Ja-young kidnapping her in the first place? We don't get much of an explainer about Chulmin either. How did he grow so devoted to Gadel's cause, and why did he want Sifju dead so badly? Regarding Min Ja-young, it makes sense that she's still out and about, ready to cause trouble. But has she moved on from her son's death so quickly? The most glaring flaw is that the series doesn't seem to complete its debate on whether vigilantism like this is the right way to go or not. Mu-chan, Hyun and Sifju do have a few arguments about it, but it does not lead anywhere conclusive. While I wouldn't expect a fixed solution in the end, I did expect the characters to develop and change their worldviews due to the moral debate, particularly Mu-chan. But no such development shows, and neither of the characters changes much. In the end, the plot takes precedence over all.